Hey Anuj,
Yeah,
thank you for being here. And I really liked the questions you were asking, and I thought that some parents might really benefit from these questions. So please go ahead.
sure. Thank you so much, Priyanka. So, what I wanted to understand is when you realize that, you know, probably the traditional schooling system is not the right, education
Hmm.
system for Adi, and you decided to homeschool, right? One part is the education part of it, which you knew you can provide with much, greater alignment with what Adi's learning needs were. But one of the things that school does solve for is kind of that socialization aspect, right? And depending upon what are a kid's socialization needs, was that something which was at the back of your mind? Oh, he won't go to a school, so what about the friends? What about that socialization and learning those social skills aspect
I'll
of it?
answer that, Anuj. You know what? Actually, Adi was never allowed to talk much in the class because
Oh, okay. Okay.
in the school setup, they're mostly asked to keep quiet, right? So
Hmm.
these games time and all that they talk much, and later when they come home, they try to reach out, and these kids won't go on phone and talk, right? So they
Hmm.
need neighborhood to, and kids only play when they come back home. Schools, so anyways, they're sitting. So this
Right.
notion that kids go and socialize in the school, I
Hmm.
don't know why we have built that notion, right? Of
Hmm.
course, they are
Hmm.
sitting with the same age group. That's what we're
Yes.
thinking as socialization. And to be frank,
Right.
I know if you've come across this person, Dr. Peter Gray, he talks about
Hmm.
how, for kids to become more real life problem solvers, it's not enough that they only have this horizontal grouping where every child is the same age group. Where do they get
Right.
to learn? Everybody is
Right.
doing the same maths problem but
Hmm.
hiding their work, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because idea here is who does first and shows, and then don't share
Hmm.
your work, don't do team,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
But see, for me, it was more easy to have him get him these virtual groups where he can collaborate with adults, he can collaborate with people, he can collaborate with me, with my
Hmm.
projects in education next. Adi is collaborating in many sorts, he's
I
just
see.
building real life skills, to be frank. And I think any
Right.
kid can collaborate with their parents and learn their skills. You might have some amazing skills, I'm
Hmm.
sure. And that directly a kid can learn from you. He can be friends,
Right.
and I don't find that wrong. He can be friends with
Hmm.
siblings,
Yeah.
have in neighborhood, have friends, have virtual friends,
Right.
and that's more organic than
Right.
creating an artificial space
Hmm.
where, many kids suffer in the classrooms where they cannot mingle with kids around.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Don't feel
Yeah.
good about that. But they
Hmm.
have to do this for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine the trauma, right?
That's right.
It
That's
might
right.
work for
Yeah.
some people, it might not work for some people. It's
Yeah.
very personalized. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I am actually, exactly in that situation as a parent which you described. So my son is 6 year old and he goes to Montessori school here. So he has just started in elementary, which is basically a mixed age classroom as Montessori schools are. So
Correct.
there is from grade 1 to grade 5,
Mm,
all kids are in the same classroom.
mm,
And our hypothesis, sending him into that Montessori school was, he has, from whatever we have observed, he has also been an accelerated, learner in terms of his curiosity and, his speech and all of that stuff. He, by the way, also is, neurodivergent. So he has an, autism spectrum diagnosis,
mm,
probably, ADHD as well. Right. So, but that has completely, backfired because, like you said, there is now when he is in that classroom, there is an expectation of, what constitutes, proper subjects, proper topics, proper words, right? He's interested in history, so he has, read a bunch
mm,
about history, and for better or worse, history is full of terrible stuff that happened. And as a kid, he likes to use those historical figures, Hitler, or assassination, or all of that, and that becomes like a huge issue even here. Like, you would think schools are more progressive here
mm,
in the US, but that is turning out to be a huge challenge. And it is basically every evening he comes back and he almost, like, use the word trauma. We can totally see how traumatic it is for a 6-year-old to go into a school setting at 9 a.m. and then with both the parents working, stay there until 4 p.m. And for those 6 7 hours there is a constant demand on him to be a square peg in a square hole, whereas this person is basically he's a round peg which is being trying to fit into a square hole, right? And that is why we are at a point, and we have tried a bunch of other schools. There are some schools here in the US specifically catered towards neurodivergent kids as well. We have tried that as well, but even in those schools with very low teacher student ratio, like I was saying, the very premise of an institution is at some point there is a boundary, right? So even with teacher student ratio 1:3, those schools also after a week or 2 weeks said, sorry, we cannot support Nirvan's needs. He is he should try something different. And that is where we are at a point where we might actually have to think about homeschooling. And that's why I'm trying to understand and talk to parents who are homeschooling their children about different aspects. He is very social. He wants to play with kids but does not have the tools to play with the kids
Part of
because
US are you in?
yeah.
Where do you live?
So we are in Bay Area, California.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of sort of these you know progressive mindset and all of that, is probably the best place to be, but we haven't still found schools which are ready to support whenever a kid does not fit in any kind of. But and this is with a kid who is very bright, very advanced, does not have any motor or speech challenges or whatever. If anything, it is about managing his learning curiosity and his social emotional regulation. And that basically just results in day after day, week after week kind of the situation where school is becoming a trauma for him, and then that gets translated into trauma for us at home, managing his emotions and all.
How can you be more present? How can you make that work if it is homeschooling?
Yeah, so that would basically require one of us to take a break and accept, at least take a break from the traditional 9 to 5 kind
Uh,
of a work. One of us will have to come to terms with the fact that work may not look the traditional corporate 9 to 5, and what else does it mean, that will have to basically be explored
uh.
and looked into. But it is definitely not possible with both parents working that 9 to 5.
If you can figure that out, Anuj, if you can figure
Yeah.
that out, 80% of your problem is solved there and then, actually.
Hmm.
And I think for a parent, it's a lot of things, right? Anuj, it's not so
Right.
easy, right?
Hmm.
Because like you said, both are working. Nobody would like to, leave that. And then
Right.
if there's a good understanding, and if you can figure that out, how can you do that?
Hmm.
But the best part, that now we are in the best times, in the
Hmm.
sense that
Yeah.
we have remote work options, we have freelancing options, we have
Right.
the option to do hybrid sort of a work. So
Right.
that's why I say we are in the best times. And trust
Hmm.
me, even if you are not being able to make something like
Hmm.
you were making, but the joy that you will have when you are with your kid
Right.
and when
Yeah.
you are nurturing that curiosity,
Hmm.
trust me, we have to find, or we have to start asking the bigger questions, right?
Hmm.
We're always focusing on the smaller question because we it's not our fault. It's how we were raised, how we were brought into this world where we had a certain way of thinking, right? That
Hmm. Hmm.
this is a school, this is a college, and this is work.
Right.
And
Right. Yes.
most of Indian families, as I know, ki family or life or spirituality or whatever is somewhere. Beach mein we
Hmm.
go and visit it. But I think
Yes.
if we bring that part and we start focusing on the bigger question, I mean,
Hmm.
why do I have a kid? Right?
Right.
Uh, and after 12 years, when everything is out of your hand, and then you are all
Hmm.
about, what have I done? My child is not connected to me.
Right.
I started asking that questions, right? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that.
Mm.
I didn't want to see. By profession, I was supposed to be in a hospital. I was supposed to do my PhD. I
Yeah.
my I did my MPhil in vision science, and I wanted
Mm.
to pursue that actually. But
Yeah.
when Adi was in my hands, it was more like I wanted to be this mom, right? Who
Mm.
wanted to do all these things with that, be more. I was not fine with the idea of daycare, but after
Right.
or 10 years now, I can see
Mm.
how much happiness it gives me now. Like, I will
Mm-hmm.
never go back and I will say, oh my God, why did I take that decision? I'm so
Right.
happy I did what I did, because now when I see the way Adi grows, the way Adi learns, the way Adi interacts, I don't think so anything can be more joyful than that, right?
Mm.
And I think that's how, when you ask the bigger questions, like when you are in
Yeah.
big dilemmas of being with your parents or being with your kid or being with the family, and if you see, why am I earning, why am I doing what I am doing,
Right.
is it making me happy, right? Every
Mm.
day I go to work, and every day my child goes to school, and every day I
Yeah.
struggle with the same problem. Let's, even if we can take a break and try to understand that, that's why
Right.
people travel, that's why people take this
Right.
outlier sort of
Yeah.
decision where they want to understand. It's more about understanding ourselves. So I think
True.
schooling, unschooling, is these are just names, but we are
Mm.
trying to solve bigger issues.
Right.
Right? We are
Right.
trying to solve deep desires of how you were raised, how your wife was raised, and
Mm.
then you try to figure that out. What am I?
Right.
And that is why you are in this situation now. And it's such a
Mm-hmm.
good positive thing that you're asking these questions. You are
Mm.
not ignoring your feelings, basically. You're trying to
Right.
address, and that is why you are seeking. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful journey that you are in now, Anuj, because you are
Mm.
seeking. You are trying to
Right.
reach out to people, and you are making an effort. That is
Mm.
itself a very positive thing, I think, that you're doing. And trust me,
Right.
when you have taken this path, you will go down, because you are into this path of understanding your child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most I think joyful, precious thing in your life, I'm sure. And that is why we
Mm-hmm.
educate kids, no, we want them to do the
That's
best.
true.
But we
That's
have to
true.
also understand, am I doing it for myself, or am I
Mm.
doing it for my kid, right?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
these my desires, or is my child enjoying this, right?
Right.
And then
Right.
slowly you start getting answers. So you are already in this
Yeah.
journey, actually. And
Mm-hmm.
there are
Yeah.
many micro schools now. There are
Mm.
2 to 3 hours ka schools now, where children can just go hang out,
Right.
come back.
Right. Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you can figure that out, how any of you can spend more time with your kid, help him start learning together. I learn most of the things with Adi, trust me.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
okay, thoda adjustment is fine, thoda paisa kamaya,
Yeah.
it's fine. But if you can address ki, what do I want from this life, what am I doing,
Right.
if we start thoda bahut asking those questions, then
Yeah.
you will perfectly get what you want.
Right, right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The one of the things that is so apparent that since my son Nirvan he turned 5 is
Hmm.
that he up until 4.5, 5 years of age, he had this immense curiosity for knowledge. He was reading books when he was 2 years old, and he was doing like complex puzzles, and this was all. He was 2 years old when COVID hit, right? So for the next 2 years, he was primarily at home with
Hmm.
us, and in that home environment and all of that, he was just like learning and soaking up knowledge like anything. Right? But since turning 5, when he actually like started going to first like preschool and all of that, and also like as part of growing up, when he realized, I think he realized that he's different from other kids, right? On account of his neurodivergence, the topics that interest him do not interest other kids. When he talks about those topics, the other kids don't want to really talk about them or play with them, right? Since then, I think that need or that realization for social connection has occupied his entire mind space to the point that he is pretty much not interested in doing anything right? He'll just keep sitting for 2 hours, 3 hours, or just not doing anything at all. Whereas earlier he would be, doing art, he would be doing puzzles, he would be reading, or whatever, right? So all he wants to do right now is, just like, some goof around, because he and he's 6 years old, and he realizes that, when playing with younger kids is easier, because with 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, playing basically means just jumping around and goofing around,
Mm.
right? But now he goes to that elementary classroom where everyone is either his age or older, the the social the dynamics have changed.
Mm.
Now play or connection means you need to give some, you need to take some, you need to have a conversation and understand what the other person's intent is, what their interest is, what would they like to do, and then you have to, transact uh, uh, according to that, which is very hard for him,
Mm.
being, the child that he is. And I think that has occupied so much of his mind space, that there is very little capacity left for learning anything new. And it's not learning for the sake of learning or academics. It's just like, as a kid, as a 6-year old, you should be just, be joyful about learning new things, trying new things and all of that, right? But it's just, it becomes so overwhelming, because his entire mental capacity is probably thinking about, oh, you know can I play, or can I fit in a group or whatever, right? So which basically, leads us to think that, sending him to school, is it doing more of, harm than any good, really, right? Which is why, I asked about that social connection need, right? Like, for Adi, now that he does not go to a school per se, what is his community, right? Do you have, other parent community which is doing homeschooling? Is it just
Small
at
town.
home?
We are in a
Yeah,
very small town. We don't have those sophisticated communities and all. We have
got it,
things, cousins hai aspas. Ghar
got
pe
it. Okay,
he plays with them.
right,
Then,
great. Yeah,
I'm in a family where we have a lot of people now because I'm staying with my mom. But even
yeah,
when we were in Chennai, in COVID, we were talking to each other. We were talking virtual
yeah,
connections when people in the apartment, anyways, were not meeting. But children were doing very well. Yeah.
right,
Everybody is not
right.
extrovert, no? People are introvert
That's
also.
right.
They like, many
Correct.
people do not like to work in big offices, no? They like
Correct.
small cubicles. They are very fast at it. I have a cousin who hated to be in, he was not performing very good at all when he was in school,
Yeah.
college, because he hated people. And
Mm.
it's like he didn't like people. But, when
Right.
COVID hit and 3 years when he was working studying from his home, he did, he was so good with his results that
I
people
see.
were shocked. What were you doing? Did you cheat? And he
Yeah.
said, no, I just like being
Yeah.
myself. I
Right.
on
Right.
I don't want people. So people,
Mm.
all of us are different, no? Imagine
Yes.
you don't like your office people, and how
Yeah.
dramatic it can be every day facing them.
It is. Yes.
If
That's
you're
right.
not on the
Yeah.
same bandwidth, imagine. I mean, I've worked in school, okay, and it's not easy to get along with teachers. And I was a very different
Right.
kind of a person. So it was very difficult for
Right.
me, right? And I'm a
Mm.
very social person. I can talk to anybody,
Mm.
but I didn't talk to anybody in the staff room. So
Right.
it is just, people might think that, she has a problem or thing, but if you don't find that
Mm.
bandwidth,
Mm.
कैसे बात करेंगे ना तो
Yeah.
I
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
for kids हम ऐसा क्यों नहीं सोचते हैं कि
Mm.
they might not like the, you know they might not
Correct.
like the space, they might not like the
Yeah.
people, they like to learn on their own. And there are neighborhoods. Abhi, wherever you are, there are a lot of micro schools coming up,
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
They can go
Yeah.
for few hours and socialize. If they don't like it, they can go somewhere else, you know
Correct.
Uh,
Correct. Yeah.
with- and the idea of what the society will think, forget about it. They never think about us.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever
Right.
thinking about
Right.
us. We are thinking
Yeah.
about them, and we are thinking people are thinking, but it
Correct.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
now.
No one has the time, and yeah.
हाँ, ये एक, it's like a journey.
Mm.
When I was not, I wouldn't have thought about this 5 years before, right? But when I do now, I
Right.
know that maybe 2, 3 years के बाद आप भी, you will be talking like this.
Right. Right.
But it's
Right.
good to have that doubt. It's good to
Mm.
have that fear, because it's all normal. Because
Mm.
the way we were raised, it's difficult not to
Yes. Yeah.
think like that, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you, एक break लेके देखो. Just keep your kid with you for a week. Hmm?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
just then see how he's flourishing, how you're flourishing. and
Right.
do these small experiments. Go for a small holiday and see how is,
Yeah.
if
Right.
do a small project with him. Ki, chalo, you like
Hmm.
history, let's do this. Let's go to this place.
Right.
Or let's do this project at home. Yeah, computer mein to you have everything.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
there's everything that you want to learn. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you think that there's fear or something, then we can go deep dive. I can help you how to frame a day, how to go about it. That also I
Right.
can help.
Right.
Right? We can do those
Right.
sessions if you want.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
we can do that. Like how I
Hmm.
started planning in the beginning because I was scared. How
Correct.
did my day look like?
Yes.
So those
Yeah.
things we can plan together. I can help you with that. We can,
Hmm.
if you're working and it's something that you're looking for resources, we can build that,
Yeah.
right?
Got it. Yeah.
But first,
Yeah.
you start, uh,
Hmm.
you know, take these small breaks, do these small experiments, and
Right.
it works, and then
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I really appreciate this. I think like you said, the last bit of doubt is probably more from our upbringing, especially in the whole traditional Indian context, and that is what gives the final pause. Well, maybe let's just try something different, or maybe this school, or maybe something different at school. Let's try. Maybe it might work. That is where the that hesitation is coming from. And obviously, like like I said, that the practical aspect of basically one person saying, okay, I am okay to not have
mm,
that traditional work
mm,
um,
mm,
kind of profile, right? And being okay with that and accepting that and then moving forward with that. But yeah, yeah, no, I'll definitely love to keep in touch, and hopefully over the next few days or few weeks we will sort of come to an understanding of what might be the path there. One of the things is the school that my son currently goes to, the owner of the school, she is very understanding of his needs. And they have just hired a special educator, a person who's trained to work with neurodivergent kids and all of that. So she just started last week. So we are hoping maybe she is the magical
mm.
resource or the missing ingredient that we need at school. So we'll see how the next couple
Exactly.
of weeks go at school. And then we're also starting some therapy and all for our son, which he kind of needs to basically be a little bit more adapt at social handling those social emotional cues which don't come naturally to him. So we're hoping like a combination of this might be the magic potion. But at the back of my mind, I am also thinking that maybe for maybe it could be temporary thing. Maybe it's like for a couple of years, homeschooling is the answer. Kids grow up, they have more self-awareness of who they are, and then the social setting becomes easier to navigate or maneuver through. Maybe might go back then. But yeah, I do think that there is in all of this, homeschooling probably fits in uh in some part of the equation. So
Mm.
it's just figuring that out. Yeah. But I really do appreciate your time and insights very
Yeah,
much. Thank you so much.
I'm always there to help. Don't worry about
Thank
it.
you so
We
much.
can,
Yeah.
whatever you want, we can, have uh, more sessions like this if you want, and if
Appreciate that.
if you plan to that. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that don't limit yourself to explore, because I
Right.
uh,
Right. Yeah.
exploration is key to many things, right? So just
Right.
key to,
Right.
you might choose to do, you might not choose to do this, but the thing is, at least you would have explored, right? If
Hmm.
this doesn't work, anybody can go back to that setup, right?
Correct. That's right. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right
Great.
then.
Well, thank you so much, Priyanka. I
All
really
right.
appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Thank you. You take care. Bye bye.